We are back live. Hey, my name is Wayne Pelletier. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your time and attention. I think this is the 35th episode. So we're trucking right along. And in this one, I want to talk about involuntary employment transitions, which is a fancy way of saying career change, career pivot. Maybe you're going out on your own. Maybe you're starting a consulting practice, and because it's taking too long to get back into the workforce and you're running out of time and or money, you start to think about ways of making ends meet and leveraging your experience, right? I get it. And sadly, I'm inspired to talk about this because I've seen a couple of recent posts over on LinkedIn about people being laid off. And sadly, we're seeing quite a few people being laid off right now. And there's lots of anxiety. So while there's growth in some sectors, other sectors are seeing lots of stress and anxiety. And look, finding a job, whether you've just been laid off or even if you're employed and looking to jump ship, finding a job has never been harder, I don't think. It's and this pivot for people, trying to get into consulting or coaching or turn their side hustle into a full-time thing. I created a program to help get your website together with my vast experience to guide you through. I got more on that later in this video. And I know firsthand what this looks and feels like. I've been let go 5 times. Call it fired, laid off, whatever. It comes in a lot of flavors. And I've got a story for each also later in this video. And in researching this topic, I've seen some people that mean something to me get laid off recently. So I went and looked at the job posts, and now everywhere I go on the internet, I'm being followed by hiring and recruiting and all these ads. Shame on me for not using a private browser window. But the job listings are written for like superhumans. So I can only imagine what that feels like to be trying to respond to those and how that makes you feel inadequate or not fully up to the submission. And I get it. You've got to submit these things anyway. You know that the listing is BS, and you know that they're not going to actually find very many people that are a perfect fit based on that massive list of requirements. And that's fine. You submit anyway, right? And maybe you get a notification about a job listing and you click through it and there's already 100 or more people have applied within an hour. It's bananas. And we have to deal with the other fact these days that too many job listings, and I don't venture to guess how many, 10%, 20%, maybe more, are just total scams. They're not even real. And as soon as you submit anything or you're in the ad database like I am now, I'm probably going to start getting text messages from scammy job recruiting tactic people, whatever you call them. I don't even know what you call them. And that sucks, but the facts are the facts. You have a lot of expertise and experience. It has a lot of value. It is an asset that you're sitting on, and it is absolutely worth sharing. The other fact is you could truly help people and roles and certain companies, and that isn't being leveraged. So that's why we go out on our own. And look, cold, hard truth here is that every business is narrower at the top than it is at the bottom. So the number of opportunities and options dwindle as we mature in our career. That's why it takes long for someone in their 40s or 50s to get back into certain organizations because a company with 100 people may have 50 individual contributors and a handful of people in the director level, and the V suite and the C suite have, you can count those number of people on one hand. So there aren't a lot of opportunities there. So that's why we go it alone. We build our own thing. And at some point, there isn't any reentry and we don't have any choices. And like I said, I've been laid off 5 times. I get it. I was pretty young. I was 30, I think, the first time I was let go from an agency. It's a huge international conglomerate, and I don't even think they go by this name anymore, 360i. Look, they were holding the bag of ad inventory back in 2001. That was a tough situation. I was wicked mad at the founders when they let me go. Boy, do I regret how I handled that and felt about it now. But at the time, I was pretty upset. But they had a good reason for letting me go. We had a creative department of 15 people, 16 people or something like that. And they kept one. They let all of the design team go because back then we didn't have click attribution and the PPC models that we have now, and cost per millions were prepaid. So if you wanted to run ads in Yahoo Mail or on Yahoo's homepage or in Alta Vista or any of the other web properties back in 2001, you had to buy it in bulk and then try to sell it to your clients. And when the value returns came back on that so poorly from banner performance and banner ad sort of exposures was so bad that the .com crash made that almost virtually impossible to resell. So they were sitting on all that inventory, and to keep the business alive, they had to do what every business has to do. Cut heads, cut salary. It had to go. And I was on that list, and it makes perfect sense now. But now I know a lot more about business than I did when I was 30, and that was my first major agency job. And, the second time I got let go from RMI, Response Mind Interactive, loved Ken, the founder, and all the early investors in the BKV family and however that worked. And all of the director and V levels people at that agency were incredible. I had been obnoxious and I had built a creative department. And to be honest, the creative department had not been contributing to the bottom line in a way that the agency thought it probably should have. 8 years in, 7 years in. So fine. It makes perfect sense to create turnover at the top of that team, that department, and that's fine. Ken and I are still friends today, and I think he's awesome, and I have no shade for that at all. But, I took to Facebook. I was like, well, I guess this is where I'm working now, and took a photo of my desk at home, my home office. And that afternoon, I got a message from someone at Cloud Tags. And I went over to Cloud Tags, a tech startup, and worked there for a couple of years. And I was let go from that job too. But everybody was, because we ran out of venture capital funding and the tech never really got to the point where we saw an exit. So look, startups run out of runway, they run out of money, and then everybody's gone. So I wouldn't say that was performance-based as much as, maybe that just being situational, because no money, no job. And nobody works at that company anymore. It doesn't exist. I was let go from Search Discovery. I don't think they go by that name now. They were acquired, but that was a really fun place to work. And it was founded by incredibly smart people. The entire leadership team there was so super impressive. I was brought in to do a thing as creative director, and I felt like I wasn't able to get a lot of that stuff done. And ultimately, what I was able to influence organizationally and operationally probably wasn't returning the value based on what they were paying me. And I also would venture to guess that they felt like their vision for the department wasn't something they were going to be able to help come to reality either. So the role just was eliminated. It made sense. Made sense at the time to me. It makes sense to me now. HD Supply, I was let go from that company. That was a big corporation. They were publicly traded at the time. They have since been acquired by the Home Depot. But honestly, I was just an absolutely shit fit. Like, me in a corporate environment, move fast and break things, iterate and try, fail fast, and all these cliches that I actually do function against and live by, doesn't go well in a very corporate environment that where people are defensive of their fiefdom, and you have to negotiate and collaborate with other people for a long period of time in advance if you want to get things done. I was not used to working in that environment. It's a great company. It's a great environment. Highly recommend working there. If you understand that environment and you can thrive in it, go. It's a fantastic place to be and work. And I still know incredible people that work there and have been there for a bunch of years. I know a guy who's been there for like 35 years. Obviously, it's a great place to work. Just because I'm a bad fit doesn't mean that it's not amazing. And I'm grateful for the time I had there. I learned a ton. I have a bonus. Sixth time I've been fired. Sixth. I can't say that. I kind of let myself go. I have kind of fired myself in that I pivoted away from creating a generalist agency and just another job that I didn't want to my subscriptions and offering web design as a subscription service. I kind of fired myself. I created the wrong company and I completely pivoted 2.5 years ago. That started, and it's completing now-ish. And that's been pretty amazing. And if I had not decided to make that change, I'd still be living that feast-famine cycle of project work and that struggle bus season that every small agency or freelancer goes through. Solopreneurs go through it big time when you do project work and the project work dries up and you have to get through a period of time where new business is too slow and it's hard to deal with. And then you start looking at the job market to stay on theme here. And look, I've made hundreds of websites in the past 30 years. And my company, Resident Pixel Company, I think there's an icon in the corner. I don't know which side it's on. Look, we've made something like 140, 150 websites in the last 2.5 years, three years. Like, dude, we've made a lot of websites. And our process, the Credibility Playbook, I just put a name to it. It's mature and it's proven. And one of the things that I wanted to do going into this year was make it available to DIYers. Not everybody, especially coaches, consultants, people who are spinning up this side hustle. They make a couple of bucks a month from it. They want to try and make it more consistent or increase the revenue to, see if it's something that is viable and they can build a life on, or if it's just to bridge a period of time while they're waiting to go and get back into the workforce. And what I did was create it's a consulting program where you get the process and I introduce you to the process, deliver it. You get the materials for every one of the 9 steps in the process. And then you have 6 weekly calls where we do a check-in and I help art direct you through and, be your technical assistant through setting up a Squarespace website. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's pretty awesome. It's super affordable. I think, I want to be exact on the price. It is, as I spin my computer around here, $417, I think. Yeah, $417. And it's way cheaper than the subscription for Resonant Pixel, which is almost as much per month. So I think that is a pretty unique opportunity. So if you are spinning up a thing to coach, consult, teach, educate, you have a side hustle. If it's making $1,000, $2,000, something every single month, and you think there's opportunity there to not have to go back into the workforce or to bridge a period of time and spin up this business and build momentum with it, then I think that Credibility Playbook program is a pretty good fit. So ping me, leave a comment, or DM me, or connect with me over on LinkedIn if you want, or subscribe to my email list down below, and you'll have an opportunity to contact me and reach out, and I'll send you a link to the page where you can learn more about it and engage. Maybe I'll even link the page here in the description. That seems like a pretty good idea. So that if it's something that you think would be helpful to you, you can engage with it. And I would love the opportunity to help. And I have 0 participants in the program right now. It's starting brand new from scratch. So I'm going to ask that you keep it secret. And that deal, that $417 price, is just for this first couple of cohorts. I want feedback. I want to validate the offer. I want to improve the content, and the feedback by going through it would be incredible. It would be amazing to get that and mature the program, learn more about the value it provides, and learn more about how it can be of service to people in that stage of life. So I'm doing it at a ridiculous low price just to get people to help. Find people that need the help and want to go through it, and to improve myself, improve the program, and then we'll see where the value really lies, and right size the pricing and the timing and the amount of calls and all of that. So it's pretty exciting. So anyway, that's what I've got on that. If you leave a comment below and tell me I'm crazy, I will love it. If you want to leave a comment below and say, hey, we just had a visitor, and then they bailed because I'm signing off. They were like, oh, well, shit, he's done. Why should I stay? I'll tell you why you should stay, because this is when the funny stuff happens. At the end of this live call, when I do things like the thumbnail moment. I'm not doing struggle bus today. I feel good. I'm overwhelmed with work because we have taken on subscribers for the done for you website design subscription. So I am absolutely up to my eyeballs in work, which is good. Series of good problems to have. Thumbnail moment. Look, this is going through an involuntary employment transition is hard AF. I don't wish that on my enemies. Not that I have enemies, but it's a tough spot to be in, and I'm sorry if you find yourself there. And if you want to chat about it, if you want me to go into more detail about what I did over the years, every single time that happened, and how I kind of got myself back on my feet, I'm happy to chat about that too. I don't want to make a funny thumbnail because I don't want to make light of this, a relatively serious topic here. We're talking about people's livelihoods and their careers. And look, it sucks being 45, 50, 55 years old and having to get back in the workforce. I get it, dude. I get it. So I don't want to make light of that. I'm just going to go with a very simple thumbnail. Very simple thumbnail. Oh, someone came back into the live and then left again. Dude, you gotta comment. How am I gonna? All right. How about somewhere I like cross my arms? Yeah, that'll work. I also don't want to over-index in how much I actually care. I'm not a thumbnail scientist. And I know there are entire videos on YouTube about how to make great thumbnails and how important thumbnails are. But I feel like long term, that's not really the game. And since I'm not chasing since I'm not chasing trends, I'm not doing topics that are trending. I'm not doing anything like that. So I'm not checking my analytics. My goal isn't subscribers. My goal is to just be of service and to help. So hopefully this video did a little bit of that. Hopefully maybe you don't feel alone. Hopefully maybe you need some help, or maybe this resonated with you and you feel like you can do it. Whatever it is, then fantastic. Go forth and conquer. It's Wednesday. I will see you Friday right here, 11 a.m. Eastern. Live again. New topic. So have a great rest of your week. I'll talk to you soon.